After causing a commotion that shook the heavens and the earth, Lu Xing calmly landed on the ground, not far from the military district personnel. Everyone, including the marshals, stared at him in stunned silence, not daring to move. Truth be told, there was a hint of wariness in the air, but Lu Xing didn't make any aggressive gestures. He simply kept his hands in his pockets. Looking at them, he casually asked, "Can I return to Long Nation with you all later?" Of course, they eagerly nodded in agreement. They couldn't have been happier. However, after witnessing Lu Xing's terrifying power, they were somewhat bewildered. Speaking to him no longer felt the same. It was as if they were conversing with a deity. He had just utterly crushed the foreign forces and yet still agreed to return to the military headquarters. What could be better news than this? After 200 years of relentless searching, it turned out that fate had bestowed upon them something truly extraordinary, a once-in-a-lifetime supreme being. It was like hitting the ultimate jackpot. Finally, the day of reaping rewards had come. While the military personnel were fussing over Lu Xing, asking if he wanted to call home, the sound of approaching footsteps came from behind. A tattered pant leg dragged along the ground, and a heavily accented foreign voice called out, "You, the Eastern one?" Lu Xing raised an eyebrow, wondering if they were about to launch another attack on him. But in reality it was just Cumberland, battered and bloodied, glaring at him, while the rest of his allies lay sprawled across the ground. "I acknowledge your strength," Cumberland said, "but if you take all of the subsequent crystals, you'll bring upon yourself a catastrophe, perhaps even the destruction of this entire planet. You should think carefully." "So," he came to warn him. A confident smirk appeared on Lu Xing's face. This was all within his expectations. "Tell the guide to come find me himself," Lu Xing replied. "Don't worry, I won't drag you into it." With that, he turned and walked toward the military headquarters, where the marshals were grinning from ear to ear, ready to welcome him back. Cumberland could hardly believe Lu Xing's overwhelming confidence. How could he be so sure? Did he already know that taking the subsequent crystals would draw out the guide? And yet, he remained utterly fearless. Could it be that he himself was the guide? A chilling thought crossed Cumberland's mind. If Lu Xing truly was the legendary guide, the being that all martial artists feared, then what could he possibly do? Even the world's strongest martial artists had no answer. They could only watch as Lu Xing walked away. On the Holy Heaven Island, the legendary martial saints all stood in silence, gazing at Lu Xing as if they were witnessing a living god. The level he had reached was one no one in history had ever attained, and perhaps never would again. At the very least, they had been fortunate enough to witness this historic moment. Of course, their emotions were conflicted. A few hours later, the Northern Military Command was already making arrangements for Lu Xing. A fighter jet had been prepared, ready to take him back to Long Nation. "Wait," a soft voice called from behind. Stopping him in his tracks, it was none other than Princess Fiona, the woman admired by martial artists worldwide. At this moment, she nervously placed her hands on her chest, casting Lu Xing a shy, longing gaze. Despite all that had transpired on Holy Heaven Island, she still couldn't let him go. "You, the mysterious man from the East," she murmured, "you still haven't told me your real name." Her voice, carried by the wind, was barely audible, nothing like the regal, untouchable princess the world worshipped. But beauty meant nothing to Lu Xing at this point. Without even stopping, he simply turned his head and flashed her a small smile. "Names don't matter, forget about me, Fiona," he said. Then, just before stepping onto the plane, he added, "I'm already engaged." And just like that, the fighter jet took off. Leaving behind a shattered heart, Fiona watched as it disappeared into the sky. For a long time, she stood there, her tears streaming down her face. Perhaps it was the strong gusts from the aircraft's turbines, or perhaps it was something else entirely. But her sorrow was undeniable. Unlike other martial artists who yearned for just a single glance from her, Lu Xing had snuffed out this budding love before it even had a chance to bloom. Cumberland, however, was pleased with this outcome. Placing a hand on his daughter's shoulder, he sighed. "He's right, Fiona, forget about him. You and he will never have a future together." But upon hearing this, the softness in Fiona's expression vanished. Her eyes sharpened, gleaming with newfound determination. "I know what I must do," she said, Her entire demeanor had changed. Her once delicate features now carried an air of resolve. Cumberland was stunned as he watched her walk away. He wanted to say something to stop her but couldn't find the words. There was too much left for him to deal with on Holy Heaven Island. Meanwhile, the martial saints gathered, anxiously questioning the chairman. Lord Cumberland, all of the subsequent crystals from this conference have been taken by him. What should we do? What else can we do? Cumberland's frustration was evident. All we can do is wait for the guide to descend and make that so-called supreme being pay the price for breaking the rules. Honestly, though they were all from the same planet, Cumberland would be more than happy to see Lu Xing crushed beneath the immense pressure of the guide. The martial saints, too, imagined the scene and felt a renewed sense of satisfaction. Yes, they murmured among themselves, the guide will teach that arrogant Easterner a lesson. The guide is invincible. That day would bring justice. Like Cumberland, they all awaited the arrival of the mysterious extraterrestrial force that would finally put Lu Xing in his place. The Eastern man, they muttered, your doom is inevitable. You won't escape the guide's grasp. Their faith in the guide's supremacy only deepened, for Lu Xing was the very type of being they feared the most. Meanwhile, in the Eastern Military District's commander's residence, it was nearing noon, though Lu Xing had been missing for a long time. His family had been given one of the most luxurious homes in the district, ever since they received news that he was alive. His parents and Qin He had been in high spirits. Today, they were busy making dumplings from scratch, kneading the dough and preparing the filling together. But they weren't alone. The beautiful Dong Qingxue entered, carrying a tray of tea. Take a break, she said kindly. By now, her presence in the Lu family home was entirely natural, almost as if she were already part of the family. Lu Xing's parents welcomed her warmly, calling her Xiaoqing with affection. You're here, they said with smiles. The moment she saw her future sister-in-law, Qin He pouted. Mom, if you want dumplings, why not have the chef make them? They taste better than ours. Her father immediately shot down her complaint. What do you know? No matter how skilled a chef is, their dumplings will never have the same taste as your mother's. Her cooking is unmatched. Hearing his heartfelt compliment, Lu Xing's mother blushed, smiling like a young girl. Oh, stop it, she giggled. You're exaggerating. I just thought it had been a while since I cooked, so I wanted to practice. If Xiaoxing wasn't here to eat, my cooking skills would surely decline again. His father chuckled and insisted that it was just the truth. Then the two of them hugged each other affectionately, hearts flying in the air, leaving poor Qin He to witness the overly sentimental scene. Right, only big brother matters. Qin He pouted before remembering something. By the way, Sister Qingxue, when is my brother coming back? It's been over a year already, the little girl eagerly asked her sister-in-law. But Dong Qingxue had no answer. Lu Xing's parents also looked at her expectantly. It had been so long. When would they finally see him again? Just the thought made Qingxue feel melancholic. She had no answer, but her heart ached with longing. She just didn't voice it, gazing out the window, about to admit that she had no idea. Her phone suddenly vibrated in her pocket. Whatever message it contained, Qin He could clearly see Qingxue's expression shift dramatically. She read it twice before abruptly pushing open the door and running outside, startling the three behind her. Sister Qingxue, what's wrong? They called after her, but she didn't respond, confused yet alarmed. They rushed after her. Only Qin He, running right behind, caught a glimpse of what Qingxue was seeing, and her eyes widened in shock. She couldn't believe it. Tears welled up in Qingxue's eyes instantly. He was just the same. Not a single thing had changed from the last time they saw each other. Lu Xing was still wearing the same old clothes, the same sturdy frame, now draped in the uniform of the Grand General of the military district. He strode forward confidently, as if they had only been apart for a day. I'm home. Wearing his usual house slippers, he greeted them casually. Qingxue, without a second thought, ran straight into his arms. Jumping onto him, she clung to his neck. Inhaling his familiar scent, in a soft voice she murmured, I've waited so long for you. He held her tightly in return, seeing Qingxue's peaceful expression. It was obvious that she had been well while staying with his parents. Moved, he gently said. Qingxue, Thank you for taking care of my parents all this time." Still embracing his girlfriend, he turned to greet his family. "Mom, Dad," shouted he, "I'm back." Who would dare separate Qing Shui from him now? She had been waiting for this moment for far too long. Even in the military, she had no intention of hiding her feelings. His family, seeing the heartfelt reunion, could only wipe away their tears of joy. "You're back. And that's all that matters." His mother and Qing He both struggled to hold back their tears, though they tried to act normal. Qing He, however, didn't forget to demand a gift from her big brother. "You've been gone so long, you better have something for me." That night, the tradition of making dumplings continued, but this time, with an extra pair of hands, though he had never made them before. Lu Xing eagerly joined in. Together, they made some truly misshapen dumplings, but the atmosphere was warm and filled with laughter. A whole year away from home, yet it felt like he had never left. As he listened to his family's conversations, a certain understanding settled in his heart. No matter how strong his unrivaled blade was, only he knew its true weight. Home was his sheath. Only at home could he simply be a son, just an ordinary young man with someone he loved. After dinner, his family gave Lu Xing and Dong Qing Shui some time alone. They walked together, lost in their world. With a soft whisper, he said, "Do you remember when we first met? It was around this time, wasn't it?" Looking at his beloved's delicate expression, he couldn't resist pulling her into his embrace. "In 2 days, take my parents to Baihe. I have some matters to handle, but I'll come to your house after that. It's time we settled things properly." Dong Qing Shui could only nod shyly. Her cheeks flushed red as she looked at him. At this moment, it would be a waste not to share a kiss, and so, under the moonlight in the villa's garden, they kissed passionately. The romantic air was so thick that even the flowers around them seemed to shimmer under the moon's glow. While he was reunited with his family, the military was busy broadcasting footage of him on the big screen. The soldiers watched in awe, cheering excitedly as if they were witnessing an action movie. Everyone agreed. Lu Xing was simply too cool. The footage from the Sacred Heaven Island was replayed, not just to relive his heroic moment, but to make an official declaration. This day will forever be remembered by all citizens of Long Nation. A 200-year-old wish has finally been fulfilled. Today, we welcome the war god who has surpassed every martial saint of Blue Star. But alongside this great honor, there was another announcement. War god Lu Xing wanted to implement a nationwide martial arts training program for the entire military. He invited everyone to witness it firsthand. The crowd was stunned. What? The war god wants to promote martial arts training? What kind of technique is this? Even the highest-ranking generals and commanders were eager to follow in his footsteps. Forget just martial arts. If Lu Xing wanted to teach magic tricks, they'd probably sign up for that too.